Welcome to MSK Tech Show. I'm your host Manoj, and in this episode we're going to talk all about becoming a full stack web developer. I'm going to give you exact step-by-step guidelines and how much you need to know stuff, how much you need to ignore stuff that are going on outside in the web world, and what you need to concentrate in, different steps you need to take to become a fully stack web developer. Let's begin the journey, and we're going to talk about all this in this episode of the MSK Tech Show. Let's go. So, web development. Why web development? Because you want to improve and you want to build products on the web. As simple as it. So, you want to become a web developer, but you don't know where to start. So, you're not alone. There are so many people out there who want to become great web developers, who want to become interestingly, they want to become a full stack web developers. Maybe they believe that a full stack role will have a better opportunities than a pure front end role. Although I would argue on that. I would argue that even if you are a only front end only developer, you can still make more money than being a full stack web developer and knowing half of the things here and half of the things there. So that's a different argument altogether. But in case if you have already fixed your mind to become a full stack web developer, then you come to the right place, because in today's episode I'm going through all the different steps that you need and you should follow. I'm going to give you a complete path to become a full stack web developer. So after listening to this, you will have a good path, and if you follow that path, you'll be eligible to apply to different roles in software companies with full stack web development roles, and you will be working on a full stack starting after the preparation after this episode. So before that, I want to just begin this episode by saying that life is not a race. Okay, life is not a race. You don't have to become as good of a developer than any other developer. So this is more of a psychology or a philosophy than fact. But in fact, life definitely is different for different people. We all have different goals in our lives. Maybe life has no goal at all. So life is happening just the way it should happen. So we don't know, right? So don't stress yourself that this guy knows more than me, or my colleagues know more than me and I'm not, coping up, or I'm continuously failing in interviews. Why am I not getting a job? And all those things. Just keep that out of the window. Just focus and see what your life has to do with you. So if you follow that route, just ask yourself, what does this life want to do? Does it want to become like somebody? Does it want to surpass somebody? Or does it just want to find out a way to achieve a position where this life can feel good about it and can feel happy about what is happening? So just forget about what is happening outside and focus on what you want to become. So that being said, so in this episode, like I said, I'm going to talk about all the levels of a successful full stack web development for a beginner and novice to become a fully fledged full stack web developer. So let's get started. We have level 1 coming up. So in the level 1, you have basically you're just started learning web development. So I would suggest you to first sharpen the knife. Before cutting anything, don't cut trees, by the way. Before cutting anything, you must sharpen the knife. The sharper the knife is, the faster you can cut things. So in the same way, start learning vanilla HTML, vanilla CSS, vanilla JS. If you go online, I bet you people are going to bombard you with things like Redux, React, Angular, Vue, Ember, 3D, D3, 3JS, what and all things. And when you look at all those things, they appear so fancy that you tend to forget about the fundamentals that were used to build all those things outside. Okay, end users don't care about what kind of fancy things you're using. End users care about how good the product is. So if you're building a product which is better than a product built with those fancy technologies, chances are you're going to make money and they are not. So that's how the world goes. Nobody wants to know what have you used. They want to know what they can use. So just remember this fact that technologies seldom matter in the real world. Okay, coming back to fundamentals, you're going to start with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, vanilla, plain. Just learn the basic syntax. Try creating these files. See how you can import CSS file inside HTML, or how you're going to import JS file inside HTML. And when the JavaScript file actually executes, what happens when the JavaScript file executes for the first time, and where in the HTML file are you going to include this JavaScript? Are you going to include it in the header, or are you going to include it in the footer? What are the pros and cons? Just go to complete fundamentals and try to understand how these three files are working. I don't want you to get lost in fancy things, even as fancy as ES6. Don't even go to ES6. Plain vanilla JavaScript, how you can import JavaScript into the HTML and how things are working. The moment you start to realize how things are working, you tend to get questions on why it is working the way it is working. So when you get this question right, this is going to open up different doors for you. Let's say in case you already started with a fully fledged React app, let's say, so you wouldn't get this question that how things are working behind the scenes. So you would essentially close the door that is going to open up when you internally ask these questions. So after you are done basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, what you want to do is play around a little bit on HTML tags. So there are so many tags that are being given out. You can refer any online websites where they tell you how many tags are there, what kind of tags are there, which are the popular tags, most popular being the div and all those things. So once you know all these tags, you learn what is the header, body of the HTML and all those things. So after that, you start playing around with CSS a little bit, because CSS is, believe it or not, even developers who have like a decade of experience still struggle with CSS because although they might have paid attention to CSS is something that you tend to forget no matter how much you learn it. So that is why most of the developers still use Chrome DevTools to test the CSS even before implementing it. I've seen this even with developers as experienced as 15 years. Even after 15 years, they want to test things in the browser and then find out what kind of CSS is optimal for the solution that they're trying to land, and then they'll do it. So spend a little bit of time, understand how CSS classes are working, CSS, try to create rectangles, try to create circles with using divs and only CSS. Try to place divs side by side, one below the other, or start playing with z-index and how z-index is working. Don't go till flexbox and all those grids and all those things at this moment. Just focus on how much plain CSS gives you, what kind of selectors are there, how much of display properties, and learn the box model. Box model is really important in CSS, because that is the basis of all the web pages. Every web page you see online is a box model. It's like bricks combined together to form the entire website. So learn all these things, get into the theory. First learn the theory, then start with a simple project with only 3 files, and once you are comfortable with it, start learning what a semantic HTML is. Because in this world, we oftentimes tend to build things just the way we feel like building. So learn what semantic HTML is, how to group the HTML elements inside the file and all those things. Once you are a little bit comfortable in all these things, you would start to work on the document object model. So document object model is a representation. It's actually a tree representation of the entire HTML. Inside the HTML, you would have CSS also with it. Go to your browser, start opening Chrome DevTools, inspect element, see how HTML is structured, and check out why your HTML file is different than the HTML that is present in the DOM, and see the properties inside, and see how you can manipulate the CSS on the right side for a particular element, how you can select this element and all those things. Start playing around with the DOM a little bit, because once again I'm telling you, even experienced developers, 15-20 years experienced developers, still today struggle with selecting DOM elements. I'm being serious. Selecting DOM elements, as the number of layers increase in the JavaScript world, we tend to forget the fundamentals, man. So be strong in fundamentals. Invest enough time in building the base. Your base is gonna determine how well you can stand in the future on top. Okay, so now you got the good understanding of the document object model, DOM, in the browser. Proceed with different things the browser is providing to you. For example, I just mentioned browser is providing you DevTools. So what kind of DevTools is browser providing to you, and what are the elements, what are the places where you can manipulate data in the browser DevTools? Go check out all that. See where the browser is showing you JavaScript, where is it showing you console where you can execute JavaScript, where is it showing you all the source files in the project. So check out all that, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, console, all that. Don't go till performance optimizations and all those stuff right now. So once you know the basic things the browser is providing, the browser is also providing an object called window. So get to know what a window object is, get to know what the navigation portion of the browser. It is also going to provide you all those functionalities out of the box. So many browsers have this functionality where they are providing different objects for your application to use. Basically, like if you want to open a new window, or if you want to alert something or log something, or if you want to generally get the web APIs that the browser is providing, all those things the browser is going to provide, but you need to know how you can use them, or how you can access these objects that the browser provides to you into your projects. So get to know about what the things that are provided by the browser. Most of the browsers are providing similar things, however things differ here and there, but I would suggest you to go with Google Chrome, because that is the most used browser as of today, and it's a fully fledged dev friendly and user friendly browser as of today. Okay, you have a lot of extensions in Google Chrome which you're gonna take full advantage of. So now you're done with the browser basics. So what is the next thing? Next thing is to learn a little bit about the browser DevTools, specifically Chrome DevTools, because that is the place where you're going to spend a lot of time in debugging things. Writing code is only half the story. Debugging code is another half the story, which is in my opinion, debugging code is a little bit tougher than writing code. So spend your time in understanding exactly how Chrome is presenting the code to you, presenting the what is happening in the website in the browser DevTools, how you can debug JavaScript in the browser DevTools, how you can manipulate the box model, how you can change the styles, how you can select items. So all those things you can learn with there are various documentation out there, but try to learn with the Google documentation. If you don't understand Google documentation right away, go to Medium blogs and learn all these things. Okay, don't even go to performance level of browser DevTools yet. So now you got a fair understanding of the browser, the APIs that the browser is providing, the various objects that the browser is providing, and you have a good understanding of the DevTools that the browser is providing. So once you do all that, go back to MDN, Mozilla Developer Network, and learn about the HTTP protocol, and also the HTTPS protocol, which is a secure version of HTTP. So why I'm asking you to learn HTTP is because the entire world is working on exchanging information using this protocol. So it also defines so many HTTP status codes which are used almost everywhere in the entire world. It doesn't matter what kind of project you're looking at. You're looking at a Java project, or you're looking at a Python project, or you're looking at a JavaScript, TypeScript. I don't care which project you're looking. The moment you start using a web browser, you better know HTTP protocol really, really well. So spend some time, get to know what HTTP is, and get to know what the secure version of HTTP is. Get to know all those status codes. I'm not asking you to fully dig into this protocol. I'm just asking you to know how much of this protocol is being used, and how much you need to know about this protocol. Just go a surface layer, just swim around in this HTTP protocol layer and get to know how it is working. Okay, so next thing is to learn Git. I can argue that every single developer on this planet, doesn't matter if it's a web developer or a software developer, any firmware developer, I don't care what kind of developer are there on this planet, everyone should learn Git and how to use GitHub. So Git is a source control. Everything, the code you write, it is going to be persisted in GitHub. It's going to give you a commit version history of your past work, and it's going to allow you to recover that work. It's going to allow developers to collaborate together to build a project. So it's a must-have collaboration tool for every developer and every software company as of today. So it's better you get better at it. Once again, this is fundamentals. If you get really good at Git, you can actually save a lot of time in the future. So many people, they think Git is really simple. It has just 4 commands: push, pull, clone, and merge. But actually Git has so many other features that we tend to neglect. So knowing those features is going to allow you to become put your fundamentals on steroids. I would say put your fundamentals on steroids, and other things will just follow along. Learn Git, save time in the future, get to know the concepts of Git, because there are a lot of concepts. To be honest, when I started learning Git, when I was in Cerner, I was introduced to Git in 2014 when I just joined Cerner, and there was a training session which happened for 3 weeks. So I did not even know what Git was. I was using SVN back then. Yeah, those really old days where we were using SVN to commit files and all that. But when I got introduced to Git, some people already knew the concepts of Git, but I kind of struggled, to be honest, to understand what Git was and how we can push stuff there, and especially the thing called rebase. Rebase has got me, it got into my nerves. So I tried to learn rebase and tried to do it. Then I found out that merge is simply better than rebasing. And you evolve on top of it, and you find out the ways that works for you. So that's the thing. You don't have to learn everything. You just have to learn the things that would work for you, and make a note of everything that you're doing, because you can't remember everything. Spoiler. So the next thing, once you learn the version control, is you need an editor. And what better editor can I suggest other than VS Code in the web development community? Just go with VS Code. Don't go with any other editor. Just go with VS Code. It is absolutely wonderful. Built on top of Electron. It has a lot of plugins built in. It has a lot of extensions. It is so fast. It's so lightweight. You're gonna love all the theming and all that stuff. You're gonna love VS Code for sure. So I actually wish I had VS Code when I started development. Over 8 years ago. So I'm never going back to any other editor other than VS Code at this point. So now you got to know and absolutely learn VS Code. Just don't want to use VS Code. You should actually learn what is VS Code giving you, the different tools that it is giving you, shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts that VS Code is giving you. Not just VS Code, you need to learn keyboard shortcuts of your operating system as well, whether you're using Windows or Mac, because believe me, keyboard shortcuts are going to save you a ton of time. Earlier, even I was a mouse guy. Being a mouse guy, I hated people hated when I started clicking stuff. So then I came to know that mouse is really slow when it comes to coding. Although it is a little bit better with Mac's trackpad, because the trackpad is just right below, and it is super cool and super fast compared to a traditional trackpad of Windows. But again, trackpads, mouse, these are all going to eat your time and your precious time before you finish your project. So learn the keyboard shortcuts of the operating system, and importantly, learn the keyboard shortcuts of VS Code. Get to know how code is organized, themes of VS Code. I would suggest you use a material theme, because that is I found it very useful, and it's very easy to organize stuff with a material theme. And maybe because I'm using Material UI, that is a different story. but in general I found it to be quite easy to use and easy to recognize. So now you have to go to MDN website, Mozilla Developer Network, because this is your Bible. As a web developer, MDN is your Bible, and you have to cruise around, get to know where stuff are. A lot of syntax related things you would want to come to MDN and start looking at stuff. I would suggest you to avoid W3 schools a little bit and go with MDN. Excuse me. So go with MDN. W3 schools is good, I'm not denying the fact, but MDN I found it to be more reliable than W3, and also it is better organized. So get to know where stuff is present in MDN so that you can come back here and start looking at it. So that's good. There you go. This is the level 1 of your web development journey to become a full stack web developer. Alright, so you have successfully completed level 1. Let's go to level 2. So what do we have in level 2? We have web APIs coming in level 2. What are web APIs? Learn about what the JavaScript event loop is. So when you start learning about event loop, you will come across this term called web APIs. So these are the additional features that the browser is providing to you before even which you couldn't do with plain JavaScript or plain vanilla stuff. So learn web APIs, see what kind of web APIs your browser is providing to you and where you can use them, all such stuff. After learning web APIs, you would want to proceed with browser extensions. Extensions are your friends, whether it be VS Code extensions or browser extensions. You're going to use a lot of them. So especially with Chrome, because there are a lot of good extensions with Chrome. In fact, you can't even learn React without learning how to use you cannot learn Redux without even learning how to use a Redux Chrome extension. So extensions are really good. Recently I found out a new extension called Json View, where in Chrome, if there is a response from the server, you wouldn't actually have a formatted JSON. So just check out Json View. It is going to format the JSON for you so that you can view the JSON in the way it is meant to be viewed. So similar to this, there are so many extensions. There is Dark Reader. So I use Dark Reader a lot because I'm a dark mode person. So Dark Reader has helped me to reduce my eye strain as well. So get in touch with browser extensions. After that, you would want to learn a little bit about Sass or less, SASS, SLESS, and even SCSS. So these are you can consider this as CSS on steroids. So they're going to provide you so many functionalities that the CSS is providing you, and on top of it, it's going to improve the syntax that CSS provides you. So learn Sass, CSS. I'm not asking you to learn completely these things deeply. Just know that they exist, because in the JavaScript world or in the web world, knowing that something exists can save a lot of confusion for you, because there's a lot of stuff going on in a single project. There's a lot of stuff, like you have JS files, you have CSS files, you have HTML, you have SCSS, you have Coffee script, you have Docker, you have YAML files, you have looper files, you have I don't know what kind of files are present in you have npm. On top of it, you have JSON files, package JSON, npm, readmes, git ignores, and a lot of hidden files. So there are a lot of files involved in projects. So better to know that the files exist and what they are supposed to do there. So now that you know Sass, less, and SCSS, let's move on to web security, because you need to learn how to secure your website. There are a lot of techniques where you can implement web security. The most obvious one being HTTPS protocol, where a secure socket layer is used. You will be not secure socket layer. You'll be using an SSL certificate for transmitting data over the network. So HTTPS, and along with it, there are so many different ways to improve web security or implement web security. Learn about JSON web tokens, how they are used to authenticate, and all such stuff. Also get to know about OAuth and how OAuth is working as of today. After web security, you would move on to learning JSON, XML, and XHTTP requests. So these are the basic transmitting tracks. So JSON is the world's most used transmitting data packet. So learn JSON, learn CSS animations. Not to say that you are going to use CSS animations a lot, because you might start using libraries that provide you these animations, but it's good to know how CSS has implemented animations in vanilla. So just learn how CSS animations are working, just basic CSS animations. I'm not asking you to go dig really deep. So after this, you would want to start doing some online challenges. So go to CodePen or Code Sandbox, or even basic online sites where there are beginning challenges for beginners, implementing a triangle out of a div just with the CSS and stuff like that, or adding a new function in a JavaScript prototype. These basic things that there are a lot of online challenges. Just go there, test yourself. Also take LinkedIn's own JavaScript challenge. If you haven't done already, you should do that now. After these online challenges, you would want to learn about DOM events. So events are a big thing in web browsers. Whatever user is doing, there's an event for that. Whatever the browser wants to fetch from the server, there are events that trigger it. There are event handlers that handle all these events. So you would want to learn a little bit about the event loop, first of all. And also you want to learn how events are handled in the browser, and how to implement event handlers, and how to attach these event handlers to the elements. So you want to learn all that. So once you're familiar with the event handling, event loop, and all those things, you would want to learn a little bit about the JavaScript engine. So there are various JavaScript engines out there. The most popular JavaScript engine and the fastest JavaScript engine is the V8 engine. This V8 engine has been developed by Google. Which is running on Google Chrome. So Google Chrome is basically running V8 engine, and now even Microsoft Edge is using V8 engine because of its benefits. So why learn about different JavaScript engines? I think Internet Explorer was using an engine called Chakra, I believe. Yeah. So learn about these JavaScript engines, and get to know the differences between these JavaScript engines, why there were so many engines, and even today there are so many engines. Why do we have them, and what are their role? Why do these engines behave differently? Why do different browsers behave differently? Right? So you might be writing the same CSS and same HTML, but when you execute in different browsers, it's going to show up a different output. So why is it so? Well, one of the reasons is the JavaScript engine, and how the JavaScript engine is implementing the JavaScript specification. So different people have come up with different things. Just learn, try to understand what a V8 engine is, how is it written, and all such stuff. Again, not too deep. You just need to know that there's an engine running behind the scenes. In a single thread, your JavaScript is running in the browser. Alright, you successfully completed level 2 of the full stack web developer course. Now going to level 3. Now this is the fun part. So after doing all that, now is the time that you look around and see the things that are available to you. It's just like going into jumping into an ocean, trying to collect all the seashells inside the ocean, and then coming back to get the air. So when you come back to get the air, you might see a lot of shark fins. When you go to the surface to get some air after collecting all those things inside, you see 3 sharks coming near you. One shark says React, the other shark says Angular, and the other shark says Vue. So these 3 sharks are coming towards you, but at the same time you have to choose who is your friend. Don't do it in real life. No shark can be your friend, especially when they are hungry. Of course, I do love animals, but you have to choose in which shark's stomach you want to end up in, which will be less painful for you and which will be more useful. Alright, so React, Vue, and Angular, I was saying, these are the 3 big guys in the web development community, and they are the libraries that are most used as of today to build websites. Alright, so let's say you want to become a full stack developer. I'm going to talk about only one, which is React.js, because I am a React.js developer and I know quite a bit about React and how it works and the implications of it, and learning and how much opportunities that React can bring you as a web developer, especially working in India. It opens up a lot of opportunities for you. There are so many jobs in React that I can't even count them. Including big companies, even the company that I work for, we use React intensively. So learn the basics of React. Learn how React is maintaining a virtual DOM inside. Learn how React is based on component-based designs. Learn how much React is backed up by Facebook, and how is React is building websites, general websites with React basics. Not too much, not too fancy. Just directly get started with React hooks. Don't even look at classes. Classes are pure garbage in my sense. In my opinion, they're pure garbage. Don't even look at them. Directly jump with the function components and start building basic React applications with a normal npm project. Speaking of npm projects, just learn what Node.js is, what an npm project is, and how you can configure an npm project. Initialize it with the package.json and start using React.js. Install React.js and start building your basic websites. So now that you have started using React.js, so there's something called Redux, which is used for state management. So you need to know what Redux is and what exactly is state management. What is a problem with React's internal state? What is the problem? What are the benefits of having a third-party state management system in your web application? So you would want to know what Redux is, what are the principles of Redux, how to use Redux dev tools, and all such stuff. Okay, once you get familiar with Redux and React, you're actually creating websites at this point. You're creating basic UI websites, front-end websites with JavaScript, HTML, CSS, React, and Redux. This is actually more than enough for you to get started with front-end role at this point. So learn what middlewares are in Redux. The place where you call the APIs to get data from the server is really important, and you need to know where you need to call the APIs. So get to know these middlewares where the APIs are called and how you're going to handle the data that is coming out from the server. On the flip side, you need to know how to push data to the server. Once again in the middlewares, and handle the statuses of the requests and show it in the UI. So you should give some time for yourself to design a beautiful UI, because let's be honest, nobody wants to get bored. Even while developing products, we don't want to get bored, let alone the users who are trying to use our product. We developers don't want to get bored, so let's build the best possible user interfaces possible. But to build the best user interfaces, you need to have knowledge on how to handle different APIs that are being called in the behind the scenes, right? Network calls and all that. So you need to learn the middlewares that are used in Redux and all that. So after that, at this point, you are ready as a front-end engineer, basically. So now, to push yourself a little bit further before applying for front-end jobs, learn Ecmascript 6. So Ecmascript 6 was I think it was the biggest update that JavaScript has had over the years. So even today it is relevant. Obviously a lot of iterations have happened, but Ecmascript 6, popularly known as ES6, introduced so many features which are pretty awesome. So learn ES6, different syntaxes and features that the ES6 provided, and get to know just to upskill yourself in JavaScript so that you can call yourself a advanced JavaScript developer. So after that, you want to learn one library, which is a UI library. So I would suggest go with either Bootstrap or Material UI, because you need this UI library to build your applications really quickly and in a standard way. Because you might not build, you may be really good in building stuff, but sometimes there are other people who are simply better because they are been here for a long time. And we have to respect the fact that they have gained so much of experience, and they have contributed so much to the open source world. Let's honor that. Let's respect that and learn Material UI, how to use it, or Bootstrap, and start using it in your application. Now you're gonna see that how quickly you can build a very good looking website with just plain APIs that Material UI is providing to you. Learn how to use these Material UI components inside your React application, and you will be building a lot of good looking websites. Not just Material UI or React or Redux, just go out there and see what other sharks are there in the ocean. Just peek around, see what are available, but don't go learn everything. Just learn one. But you need to know what are out there. Go to npm repository website and see what are the most downloaded packages. I think Lodash is the most downloaded package. So just check out why is it so, why people are using these kind of packages, why these are so much downloaded. You see millions of downloads. There's a good reason why they have millions of downloads, right? So get to know why it is so. So this is the thing, you just don't want to learn how to use certain stuff. You want to know the why as well. Why things are becoming popular the way they are becoming popular. Why React is getting this much popularity. What did it bring to the table? All such stuff. So after that, you want to learn Axios. Axios is really, it is a library that allows you to create, allows you to call APIs, basically. So allows you to make HTTP requests. So learn Axios. So once you've done that, there is a secret big boy in town, and his name is Webpack. Webpack, people don't really think Webpack is really useful to learn at this stage before attending an interview, but I'm going to tell you, this is going to set you apart from every single candidate who has not worked on Webpack. So learn Webpack and see what Webpack is about, how Webpack is compiling stuff, learn how to use plugins in Webpack, how to transpile code from one to another. So learn how Webpack is bundling stuff and all that. So now just know the basics of file system. So just go to Node.js website and learn basic file system operations, because you might need it here and there, and also learn a little bit of operating system basics. So after this, you would want to learn, oh, by the way, we are still in level 3, okay? There's up to level 6. So after this, you would want to learn what is asynchronous JavaScript. So people are saying that, JavaScript runs in a single thread. Then how come asynchronicity is possible in JavaScript? I just mentioned web APIs. Learn how JavaScript is handling asynchronous requests, and you want to learn async. You want to learn what are promises in JavaScript, what callbacks are, what are the differences between callbacks and promises, why promises are better than callbacks. And you just want to know a little bit of history of how things have evolved over the years in asynchronous JavaScript. After this, I think by this point you are completely ready to take a front-end interview at this point. Done deal. If you have understood this completely and you have done enough exercises on your part, you are fully ready to become a front-end engineer in a very good opportunity. You're gonna land in places where you never thought you would be. Now, but you want to become a full stack developer, don't you? Now comes the level 4. So in level 4, you would want to learn what Babel is. What is transpilation? Why transpilation is needed? There are different browsers out there. Different browsers are supporting different versions of Ecmascript. So some browsers may support the latest and greatest in everything that is there in the Ecmascript specification. Some browsers may not, like Internet Explorer. Why should you support Internet Explorer? There are many containers inside other languages. They have their own shells which may not support the latest version of Ecmascript. So you want to learn what Babel is. Babel is very popular transpiler out there. I think it is the most popular transpiler, period. So learn what Babel is, and after that learn what polyfills are. Polyfills are like these backdoor mechanisms. I wouldn't call jugaad, but these are backdoor mechanisms to achieve the things in older Ecmascript versions. For the new features that have come in the new versions, you can still achieve them in older versions with these polyfills or jugaad, you can say. And after that, you want to learn a little bit more about Webpack, read a little bit more about Webpack, then learn about accessibility, how you're going to handle accessibility in your website. Because let's be honest, we developers care about every single community out there, and we don't want to leave these guys behind, the specially enabled ones. So accessibility, focus on it, because that's really key feature. Some companies even want your product to be completely accessible before it goes to production. That's how the world is. We want to care about everybody. So then after that, you start learning about what are the issues with cross browser. So different browsers behave differently, I told you. Why is it so, and what are the issues? Most of the time there will be CSS issues with this. Most of the times the developers spend a lot of time in understanding why different browsers are behaving differently, and there are so many issues between the browsers. So you would want to spend a little bit of time on learning all these cross-browser compatibility issues. Get to know very basic ones, get to know the most common browser issues and make a note of it. Just keep making notes of it every time you come across certain things, because you are not going to remember everything. I can guarantee you that you are not going to remember everything. Okay. So next is compatibility. So compatibility, once again, almost related to cross-browser issues, is to know the compatibility of different syntaxes that you're using. So you can use a website called caniuse.com. In caniuse.com, you can check what CSS syntaxes are, what kind of CSS things are compatible with different browsers. So look at all those things. So in this level 4, you are going to learn a lot about supporting the entire ecosystem instead of just supporting one Chrome browser. So that's more what you're gonna concentrate on in level 4. So next is you want to look at lazy loading. So lazy loading is one of the patterns we used to handle very lengthy data, very big data. How you're going to handle this data in the UI, or how you're going to handle very time-taking API call, for example. So you need different methods to achieve this. Lazy loading is one method. Excuse me. Lazy loading is one method which is very popular today. So get to know what lazy loading is. Just make a note of whatever I'm telling you. Get to know what lazy loading is and try to implement a sample lazy loading in your sample website. So after that, you want to learn a little bit of hacks here and there about state management, how to have better state management in your application, and how to use Redux in the most optimal way possible. So all those things, you go online and search for different popular libraries that are using Redux. See how they have implemented their code inside, so that you get to know different things in different methods, so you can utilize them in your projects. So after this, you want to learn React hooks. So like I said, start with React function components. Don't even worry about classes, but with function components you get hooks for free. So React hooks, I'm trying to make a separate tutorial on React hooks, so stay tuned for that. It's gonna be a very in-depth tutorial I'm gonna make you a React hooks expert from you come with nothing and you go with an expertise in React hooks. I can guarantee you that. So after React hooks, you want to learn a little bit of advanced GitHub secrets, so GitHub hacks and all that. So after this, you want to install a lot of VS Code extensions which are going to help you in the long run. So these are the things that you want to focus on in the level 4. So your level 4 is done, and now you're beginning to start your transition to become a full stack web developer, starting with level 5. Let's see what level 5 is about. In level 5, you're going to start with Node.js. I'm not asking you to learn Node.js really deeply, but yeah, the deeper you go in Node.js, the better backend developer you become. That's just the fact. Just learn how operating system is functioning, and know the different APIs that Node.js is providing you, how Node.js is implemented, all such stuff. So once you get familiar with Node.js and its APIs, you want to create a sample Node application and start using Express.js to build REST APIs inside. So get to know what REST is, how you can build APIs using REST, and how you can use Express.js to create these APIs. So obviously you need a database. So I suggest you to go with MongoDB. Assuming that you want to become a MERN stack developer, go with MongoDB. Plug in Express.js with MongoDB with Mongoose driver. So get to know what a driver is, how driver is manipulating data, putting data and getting your data out of the database and all that. Learn how MongoDB is different from other DBs, what is NoSQL versus SQL. So these basic things you want to learn before even starting to create a fully fledged backend server. Also get to know what REST APIs are completely theoretically as well with HTTP codes. So I mentioned HTTP earlier, so now is the time that you fully utilize the HTTP to the fullest. So get to know different status codes that HTTP is providing you, error codes and all that, you're going to become a very good developer and very you're going to build servers that talk to the consumer in a way that it is meant to be, if you really know HTTP codes well. So after this, you would want to learn middlewares, how authentication, authorization is handled with middlewares and all that. What is a middleware? First of all, this is a different middleware. Whatever I told you in Redux, this is a different middleware. Get to know what middleware is, get to know what server-side rendering is, get to know what a secure socket layer is doing for you. These are the advanced topics, right? So you are getting, you're really getting deep into building backend systems at this point. One thing you want to really learn is Unix commands, because Unix is one operating system, but most of the servers that are deployed out there, they are Linux, they're using Unix. So you want to know Unix to an extent that you are really comfortable with the terminal. You're really comfortable getting around in the file system. You're really comfortable doing all those requests and making, operating system level changes in Unix. You want to know this because you're going to spend a lot of time in the terminal. So after knowing Unix, if you want, you can learn GraphQL, or you can skip it for now, because GraphQL is not a really mandatory subject to be dealt with when you're just applying for full stack developer jobs. Okay, so and then you want to learn a little bit of encryption. So you are successfully done with level 5. At this point, I think you can still get jobs in many companies as a full stack developer if you know this much. But still, I want you to become, I want you to get the best opportunities possible. So just wait for the level 6, because in level 6, you are going to do things that are beyond a typical full stack developer, because here you're going to learn a lot about Docker. In level 6, you're going to learn about Docker Compose, how to maintain and manage containers, how to manage volumes in Docker, what Docker is, and how you can use Docker for the best of your, the best of your knowledge and all that. Learn more about Docker Compose and learn about how to configure Docker Compose in your applications and how to deploy them in containers. Different containerizations are there. Learn about all that. Learn about analytics, how you can bring about analytics and what are the uses and all that. One important thing is the logging mechanism, because that is how you talk to a person who has not seen your code. Logging. So you want to know exact how to log and what are the things you should use. How to use Splunk. Splunk is really used in various organizations to log various things inside. In fact, every single thing that happens in a really big organization is actually logged in Splunk. So get to know Splunk queries. Okay, so Splunk queries are going to boost your debugging skills, are going to boost your support skills in a particular project, or when a product is live in the production. So learn Splunk. Many people underestimate Splunk, but it is really useful when you want to fix something quickly. Learn about load balancers, how load balancers are playing a role in the entire system. Learn about how to optimize your code to be deployed in a place where there is a lot of traffic. Doing code optimizations, how do you vertically and horizontally scale the system, and all those things. You want to learn a little bit about designing the platform as well, how data is flowing into the system, how data is handled, how data is put for different systems after being processed, how the processed data is being shown in the user interface and all that. The entire platform, you need to have a full picture of the entire platform before even starting to making your product live. So just try to learn the platform, how the platform design is and all such stuff. So after this, you want to host your website and bind your backend to the website, host your backend. How you are going to host your backend? Use AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform. There are so many platforms out there that is going to help you host it, and they're going to provide you so many functions and so much of infrastructure for you that you don't have to deal with all that. So there were days in the olden days where people used to have they needed the infrastructure as well to deploy an application. So imagine how tough it would be. You would need an hardware to deploy your website. So now that these subscription based platforms are there, it is fairly easy. Of course, they have their own disadvantages and they have their own advantages. Learn what are the disadvantages of Azure, for example, versus AWS. What are the benefits that you're getting from one platform to the other? Just you need to compare these platforms. So if you want to call yourself a developer that has paid really attention to the entire stack, right? You need to know the disadvantages of each thing that you study. Okay, so now you learn about a little bit about cloud storage, because cloud applications, cloud native, they are really going on, they're really getting quite the talk nowadays. Learn about user management, authentication, authorization, and all such stuff, so that you manage your users the way they should be managed. So that's it. You've successfully completed level 6. At this point, you are really prepared yourself to take that next step in your career and become a full stack developer and rock on. So level 7. Wait a minute, Manoj, you said only level 1 to level 6 are there. What is this level 7? So level 7, there is level 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, etc. So there is no end. I always say this. You don't have to learn everything. You just have to learn the things that matter to you at this point. That's it. So there is no end. Just like how there is no end to know all the things that are there in medical field, there is no end to know everything in web development. Nobody is expecting you to become an expert, because they know that if you become an expert, you're not going to work for somebody. That's how it is. So don't worry about I don't know this, I don't know that, he knows stuff, I don't know so much as him. All these things, you just keep it out of the window and just focus on how much you have learned. Just move along, and you'll have a great journey along the way. So that's the point. You have a great journey, because destination is only, what is the destination of your life? Is it ultimately death? So if you want your destination to be, if you want to reach your destination really quickly, then I don't know, then you should probably die. I mean, it's the journey that makes you who you are. It's the journey that makes us humans, right? Not just humans. The entire life on this planet is based on the journey. It's not based on reaching the destination. So with that being said, I hope that you liked this episode. So just be the best you can be. Don't try to become somebody else. Alright, this is up for this episode of MSK Tech Show, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.